Y'all ready to go on a camping trip with Ernest P. Worrell? Or would you rather go with Daniel Stern and get bushwhacked? Yeah, I think we all know the right answer. It's Ernest time! Again! Ernest Goes to Camp was technically the second film to feature Jim Varney as Ernest, as his first film appearance was a cameo in 1985's Dr. Otto in The Riddle of the Gloom Beam, but otherwise this is the first in the Ernest film series. As it was with Dr. Otto, it was written by Coke Sams and John Cherry III, the latter also serving as director. Now I bet you were wondering, how did a character known primarily for local TV commercials end up headlining his own film series, and produced by Disney no less? Granted, it was through one of their production labels, Touchstone Pictures, and the film was even distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, but the question still stands. Well, then CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, and executive Jeffrey Katzenberg were impressed by how much reception Jim Varney's character had over Mickey Mouse during a parade at the Indianapolis 500. They offered Cherry and Sams the opportunity to work on a movie with Ernest, on a bigger budget and with a bigger studio. Of course, Varney wasn't sure about doing this since he didn't want to be typecast, but otherwise remained professional during production. Other than that, they filmed at Montgomery Bell State Park in Burns, Tennessee, from September 3rd to the 24th in 1986. A very short window of opportunity, but the movie would be released on May 22nd, 1987. So, how did it fare in the end? Did the increase in production value make it worthwhile? Let's find out! This is Ernest Goes to Camp. We begin many lifetimes ago, where what looks to be a Plains Indian is undergoing some kind of warrior initiation ritual, as he has to allow the others to throw some weapons at him. Very intense for what's otherwise a comedy, though then again, Ernest Scared Stupid was also very scary in some parts. First, a knife is thrown, which misses him, followed by a tomahawk, which also misses, and finally an arrow is shot at him, and misses. Looks like he passed, and whatever this tribe was had its symbol incorporated into the modern era for Camp Kiki, and that's camp with a K. I don't know. Anyway, time for Ernest to appear.
Ernest P. Worrell, camp counselor. An extraordinary thing to witness.
Ha! Camp counselor. Can you imagine if he were in charge at Camp Crystal Lake? Jason would eat him alive. At the moment, Ernest works as a handyman at the camp and is making more messes than he fixes, knocking down tents, running over trash cans, and even having his cart run out on him after the engine supposedly dies. Now to my understanding, most of Varney's dialogue and performance is improvised, which Disney did not like. Though with how he usually is in these movies, I couldn't tell which was improvised and which was normal. Anyway, here come the buses with all the kids wanting to go camping. Apparently some of them have been here multiple times.
Yeah? Remember all the fun we had last summer?
Hey, let's start things off right. What do you say?
Hey now, that's no way to treat your elders. The kids are gathered to meet with head counselor Tipton, played by Larry Black, and given that the counselors all appear to be white, I feel like someone be appropriating the Native American culture here.
Right here, on this very ground, Indians once tested their young braves and taught them the ways of the forest.
And judging from this crowd shot, I think there's only one kid that isn't white. Point is, those who are up to the challenge are given a ceremony of the blade, stone, and arrow. With that, they take part in various activities, ranging from standard fitness, volleyball, frisbee, biking, and of course, kayaking. Otherwise, Ernest ends up chatting with the camp physician, Nurse St. Cloud, played by the late Victoria Rossimo, and he even displays some ability in Kiki sign language.
One day I will be a full-fledged counselor.
If only they'd give a fella a chance.
I'm sure they will, Ernest. But the real reason I'm here is to see if you've gotten all your shots.
Well, of course. With his luck, he'd probably get tetanus from this place. Nurse St. Cloud has a grandfather who lives out in the woods, not wanting to deal with the modern ways of living, like medicine. And I don't know, I'm not sure if needles were that big in the 80s. Must be for a gag.
I did it! I took the Lindbergh, baby! I am Joseph Mingala! Oh!
I think I found one of the improvised lines, and it's a pretty good one. At the office, Tipton alerts the other counselors that the governing staff is sending some kids to their camp for Operation Second Chance, and that they're being picked up today.
And I wanted you guys to be prepared for it.
Better hide your wallets.
Yeah, and get out your brass knuckles.
We're already short-handed. How are we gonna handle those delinquents?
Oh, they're not delinquents. They're just boys from a bit rougher environment than most of us.
You mean underage criminals?
Are we sure this isn't Camp Crystal Lake? Oh, but then again, it seems like every movie involving a camp has unlikable campers and counselors. Tipton appoints one of the jerk counselors, Stennis, to watch over them, but he complains about it. But hey, if he can't handle them, they can just send the boys back. But first, Ernest is sent to go pick them up.
Will you take the bus over and get those second chances for me?
Heh. And yeah, the boys are residents of the Mid-State Boys Detention Center, and whoa, look how cool and edgy these guys are. We have their leader, Bobby Wayne, played by Patrick Day. Then there's Crutchfield, played by a young Scott Menville, who I know best as Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia and Robin in Teen Titans. He was in Captain Planet.
Contact your mayor or fire department to find out if your town is prepared.
Anyway, there's also Danny Simpson, played by Danny Capri, who I guess comes from a long line of troublemakers. I am sensing a theme here. Next is Chip Osgood, played by Todd Lloyd, who is apparently the Einstein of the group. And then there's Butch Vargas, played by Jacob Vargas, who orders around this one other kid named Mustafa Hakeem Jones, or Moose for short, played by Hakim Abdul Samad, who was part of an R&B boy band originally called The Boys, but are currently going by the Sons of Light.
Told you, it's dangerous to run with things in your mouth.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay, these other kids I can understand being here, but why are you here? You seem way too nice compared to these kids. I guess I just imagine kids wanting to do actual summer stuff and not volunteer work. Naturally, the punks mess with Ernest, though he just plays along because he doesn't know better, especially while driving a bus that's about to crash into a Crater Industries truck. That's 3 times now where I've seen a word, as part of some name, begin with the letter K. Camp, Kiki, and now Crater.
KKK? That's not good.
Turn left, Ernest!
And they still keep at it. These kids have a death wish. Anyway, at least Tipton seems eager to greet the second chancers, unlike Stennis or this other counselor, who immediately goes about acting strict towards them. Though when they seem to step on Ernest as they get off after a near head-on crash with another bus, I don't really blame them. And this bit only makes me think that Moose isn't a volunteer. And I was wrong. Tipton is still an asshole given how he treats Ernest.
I give you a simple task to do, and this is what I get.
He's just not counselor material.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tipton. I'll try to do better.
You know, dumbassery aside, you're still more likable than the rest of these douchebags. Hell, you at least treat these kids as, well, kids, while the rest just see them the way society often treats those who've done crime with no chance of redemption. Stennis takes charge of the punks, puts them in the rundown cabin, and they are expected to clean it up. The other campers aren't happy to see them either, though I gotta love how Moose leads the gang in to act cool.
Come on, gang. Follow me.
Well, looks like Daddy's little gentlemen are glad to see us.
If nothing else, these kids are entertaining. And hey, look, it's Chuck and Bob. Wait a minute, that's not Bobby. While we do have Chuck's actor, Gaylord Sartain, he plays the cafeteria worker Jake, who is sort of a predecessor to Chuck, who we'll see in the later Ernest movies. And instead of his brother Bobby, we have his assistant, Eddie, played by Daniel Butler, who, unlike Bobby, is younger and can speak in full sentences.
Huddling clay. Huddling clay.
And yep, he still has the eye wiggle. Anyway, their ambition is to find out the secret ingredient for an elusive culinary dish known as eggs erroneous, which right now they think is yellow modeling clay. Otherwise, here's how the other campers treat the newcomers.
Oh, did the little fellow fall down and go bum? Looks like he needs special classes in walking.
1. Fuck off with that ableist crap. 2. Of course they pick on the black kid, especially when he's the smallest of the delinquents. Luckily, the others are willing to stand up for their fellow delinquent.
What? What do you know? Another accident.
Ernest tries to bring order, but instead has everyone turn on him. Jeez, poor Ernest is just a punching bag in this one. Damn! That kid's pretty strong to do that. Well, at least they pull it off of him, right before a Coke machine falls on him. So even though it was 2 assholes who started it by tripping one of them, the boys are still punished by having to dig a trench. Why do I feel like this movie is going to turn into Holes before that became a thing?
Man, this isn't fair. They started it.
Yeah, man, they trip most.
You boys have got to learn. If you play, pay.
But only if you're underprivileged. Everyone else gets a free pass.
What an asshole!
Ernest gets forced to sample Jake and Eddie's first attempt at Eggs Erroneous, who treat him like a baby when he refuses to eat it. Can you really blame him for not wanting to? I mean, it is made partly out of modeling clay. How do these idiots get hired?
We could use a rabbit. That's it! A rabbit! A big fat rabbit with all the shots!
Oh boy, here we go again. Will Jake and Eddie ever master Eggs Erroneous? Guess we'll just have to keep checking up on them from time to time to find out. At the lake, all the campers are out swimming, and the boys, as I'll call them, get their revenge on a couple dudes. After a short montage of kids having fun, Stennis orders the boys to line up and swim. However, Moose apparently can't swim, so what does Stennis do?
You're gonna learn the Stennis way.
No! I can't swim!
Dude, this really is just Camp Crystal Lake. This is literally how you get Jason Voorhees. Luckily, Ernest comes to the rescue. That's one boy befriended at least. As for the others, they notice the lifeguard stand is a few inches off the edge, so they knock it over. Somehow, this breaks Stennis' leg. Good. With Stennis out, Tipton isn't sure what to do.
Send them back. Get them out of here. These guys have no respect for anything.
That's because you don't bother to give them a chance and just immediately dismiss them. Will they still act out? Sure, but the point is to show willingness to give them opportunities to grow and be more than what others see them as. They clearly need another counselor, and decide to turn Ernest into one, all because he led an ant farm once.
A real counselor. I can't believe it. Oh, thank you, Mr. Tipton. Thank you. A real counselor. A really real counselor.
I'll give him a week. So naturally, Ernest is going to take them out into the woods to learn about nature. They seem to get lost while Ernest talks about his experience in Vietnam. I almost expect him to turn into one of his other personas, but he keeps it straight and, yeah, Moose genuinely likes him now. Meanwhile, we see that Crater Industries is actually a mining company, headed by Sherman Crater, played by John Vernon? First Herbie Goes Bananas, then Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and now this? Then again, he also appeared in Baby Huey's Great Easter Adventure. He just shows up in all the comedies. In any case, they're mining for a rare mineral called petrosite, which Camp Kiki has an abundance of. But the land's owner, who happens to be Nurse St. Cloud's grandfather, won't sell it to them. But he won't give up, since it's vital for space programs and crap.
What we're talking about here is the largest deposit ever found. There are millions at stake here. So why don't you get your tight little lawyer's butt over to the camp and get me that lease?
Oh, but I can't hate his performances. No matter what he's in. Ernest tries and fails at various tasks, though he does one thing right.
Alright, time to practice first aid.
Let's go.
It's important to dress those wounds, but also this is in case they ever get attacked by a mummy. Well, it worked. Gotta teach this to the guys in Monster Squad. Now let's meet Nurse St. Cloud's grandfather, who has no name. He's just an old Indian chief, played by late Native American actor Iron Eyes Cody. He doesn't speak or understand English, but he does understand the Kiki sign language, which both Nurse St. Cloud and Ernest can use.
He says, who can own a tree? Who can own a rock? Only the Great Spirit.
Fancy words just to say
No!
In seriousness, it makes sense, and I'm hoping this was something he okayed as far as Native American depictions go. Also, despite this camp being run by the whitest folks this side of the Mississippi River, the chief still sees the young boys as like young braves who keep up the tradition of their ancestors. Of course, you can have them do a bit more than standard crafting and nature learning. Take it from Ernest, who teaches us how to sharpen a knife.
You wet the stone. Then you hold the knife at a perfect 45-degree angle and run it briskly down the stone and through the meat of the hand.
Ouch. Still funny at least. Also, what's the camp's budget if Jake and Eddie can build a machine that can launch food? Meet the Liver Loaf Lunch Arranger, invented by the duo to speed up feeding everyone at the camp and hopefully bring them closer to discovering the secret to Eggs Erroneous.
Chicken pot pie! Chicken pot pie!
Okay, to be honest, these guys are getting more of a laugh out of me than their somewhat counterparts from the Christmas movie. If only because they're even more insane here than just being normal funny airport workers. You know, I wonder how they'd make something like fettuccine alfredo with that thing.
First, the fettuccine. And then a little Italian named Fredo. Mamma mia, Martin, deliver a Faranger. A concentrate.
With many apologies to the Italians. Though I suppose I could throw this in instead.
Today we're gonna learn how to make bread. Back
with Ernest, he fails to turn on a motor-powered lantern? Huh. Then he joins the boys in playing poker, who are also warming up to him and the camp, since it's better than the center. Oh, and that cart is still going. And apparently the mining company is trying to clear out this one house that still has people in it. But Sherman ain't bothered because...
Do they have any legal right to be there? Technically, no. Then get rid of them.
Gee, where have I seen this before? So they send in Brock, Crater's foreman, played by the late NFL player and Super Bowl 18 championship winner, Lyle Azedo. And as if to remind us that dark things can still happen in goofball comedies...
No! Get out of here! Get out of here now! Now, why don't you give me some more of your excuses as to why you don't have that lease for Camp Kiki?
Gotta love that capitalist nature at work. Oh, this guy's a monster. That morning, Ernest attempts his own little contraption to cook some chickens and wieners and tomato soup. How's it gonna screw him over? And there it goes. Time for a meeting. Tipton explains how each cabin should take on a project that will embody the camp's culture. And last year's winner...
made a full Indian ceremonial headdress.
As long as they didn't act like Arliss did when he wore one.
Right, Chief, let's hit the warp now.
Ernest tries to encourage the boys to take part in this, despite them believing that no one really wants them here. Only Moose at least seems interested in building a teepee. Ernest later runs into Nurse St. Cloud and her grandfather, who offer him a peanut butter sandwich, which makes him happy, until he gets swarmed by fire ants. The boys try to cheer him up with a bushel of poison ivy, to which Nurse St. Cloud says he'll need another shot for.
Not again. Gosh.
So the boys get chewed out by Nurse St. Cloud, and except for Moose, who didn't even participate in this prank, they think Ernest is a jerk? He's been nothing but nice to you ever since you met him, and is clearly not like the other asshole campers or counselors who look down on you. Hell, you should be siding with him after he saved Moose. I think we're long past the point where they should start caring. A little bit. And thankfully, they seem to regret their last stunt. For now, Ernest confides in his little turtle, Pokey, about how the boys don't seem to like him.
Cold-blooded and all that. But... Ow! Ow! Oh, Pokey! Ow! You heartless beast!
This is probably why he got a dog later. They'll never betray him. The boys show up to help, but Ernest says they'll have to sing Pokey a song to get him off. So Moose leads them into...
So happy together,
What's funny is that the band who originally sang this song is called The Turtles. Heh. After a brief bit with that one attorney, Mr. Flats, who fails to convince the grandfather to sell, the boys learn from the two recurring campers, Brooks and Pennington, what they're making this year.
A skeleton or something.
It's a kayak, airhead. And this baby's gonna win the competition again for us this year, pal.
Oh, so you made the potentially appropriated headdress? I'm shocked, I tell you! The boys show some restraint despite being pushed around and go on to build that teepee. Later, Moose learns a little about crafting from Ernest and asks that if they really work hard enough, they could stay here forever without going back to the center.
Well, if it was up to me, Moose, you'd stay right here from now on.
Is it up to you?
No.
I didn't think so.
I mean, at some point you gotta go home. I'm sure your folks would love to see you changed for the better. Sherman is told that the grandfather won't sell because he's stuck in the old ways, but even now he insists on playing hardball.
Just can't be soft and polite and expect things to come your way. I got too much riding on this, and I'm not gonna let some old Indian throw a monkey wrench into it.
I just know that if this were colonial times, he'd be tearing this place apart faster than Governor Ratcliffe from Disney's Pocahontas. Anyway, Tipton is impressed by the boys' attempt at building a teepee. However, the asshole campers are watching and plotting something. Later that night, Ernest tells a terrifying campout story.
No, man.
Well, he then decides to let the chief tell a more meaningful story to the boys. Through Nurse St. Cloud's translation, they learn the importance of this land and that the young braves underwent the same test we saw at the beginning of the movie, which is meant to be a test of faith, courage, and a pure heart. That's how one can become a warrior, the ceremony of the blade, stone, and arrow.
Like in our culture, paper, rock, scissors.
I don't think that logic applies here. Back to camp.
Oh, no! I saw it save me!
How did you not notice it sooner? And of course, they find Pennington's water canister, and instead of finding Tipton, or even Ernest to do something about it, they just go directly to the source.
You boys are out of control. I mean, this last fight, it was the last straw. I've got other campers I've got to think about here.
Oh, so no punishment for the campers who set fire to their project? You really are a terrible counselor. Ernest convinces him to give the boys one more chance, and then convinces the boys to try again at the competition, since they should always give it their best.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not gonna let them put me down. I'm gonna build this thing over.
Now it's Sherman's turn to try and encourage the chief to sell the land. He tries to make the offer of a 10% share of the minerals mined here.
Mr. Winclaw, you have to sign this paper. It's your patriotic duty.
You mean the same patriotism that took their land away from them to begin with? He realizes that the chief doesn't speak or understand English, and that's when Ernest shows up to do his Kiki sign language, which the chief does understand.
Oh, Chief, your canoe is in the river. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had company.
Sherman then decides to trick Ernest, claiming he's from a conservation group trying to stop the mining company from taking the land and that he needs the chief to sign a petition. Good thing Ernest didn't bother reading the damn contract, so it was that simple to trick the chief into signing the papers. Thus, Tipton received the order to close the camp. It doesn't make sense to him, almost as if someone had to fast talk him. Ernest then realizes his goof up and vows to fix it. As he tells the boys, he's going to have to do it with his fists.
Of course, I might have to jack a few jaws, pass out a couple of knuckle sandwiches.
All right, now you're talking. Come on, fellas, let's watch the man work.
He's gonna get his ass kicked. Meanwhile, the mining company starts setting up. The gang arrives, hoping to find Sherman, but instead finds Bronk and his cronies. This won't end well for him.
Nice hat, too.
Over here, one of those over there.
You know, maybe this would end differently if he brought in one of his warrior counterparts. Nevertheless, I now feel bad for laughing at the thought of Ernest getting beaten up. Moose even tries helping out, but is tossed aside. In the end, Ernest is beaten, battered, and taken down. This causes the boys to give up on him, and even Moose has a thing to say.
I believe in you, Ernest, but there's just some things you can't do nothing about.
Nurse St. Cloud patches him up, admitting his bravery almost made up for his dumb act before. Poor Ernest admits that it's pretty much his fault the camp is going away.
This place, these kids, it's everything to me. I was a counselor. I had everything, and now it's all gone.
He then sings a heartfelt song that could give Kermit the Frog a run for his money.
Gee, I'm glad it's raining. There's always something to be thankful for.
Like, jeez, it's so sad to see him like this, and how it affects everyone he knows and cares for. Sure, some of the guys were jerks, but at least he was able to get the boys to like him. And now the one thing that gave them hope for a better outlook on life is gone. It's a good change of pace from the barrage of comedy we had, and a reminder that Ernest is capable of a wider range of emotions if he's allowed to really act on them.
What they wanted was a hero. All I needed was a friend. I'm awfully glad it's raining.
Nurse St. Cloud checks on the boys and sees they don't intend to leave. As they show contempt for Ernest, she reminds them that he was the only one willing to befriend and even stand up for them, even as they continue to treat him like dirt. Dumb as he is, he was what you would call a true friend.
And all you can think about is what you want.
This does get them to check on him, who's really down in the dumps. They have a plan to retake the camp and do everything they can to convince him to do this, as it's part of the path of the brave.
I think we might just get a little bit rowdy. We got a plan?
Yeah!
Me for you!
And you for me!
Goonies never say die! This is followed by a good old 80s montage of the gang collecting things and setting up some contraptions to fight the bad guys. Even the chief joins in on helping out. All this to a wicked music track called Brave Hearts by Gary Chapman. Man, what a sick-ass battle wagon this is. And it looks like Brooks and Pennington are willing to help out this time. Jake and Eddie are even going to do their own thing to disrupt the enemy as they and all the kids finish prep work. The chief even paints their faces with war paint to acknowledge what they're doing. Unfortunately, Nurse St. Cloud doesn't seem to think they ought to be doing this.
We can't win this fight without legal help.
They ain't gonna get this camp.
You know things are getting serious when even Ernest is locked in on protecting what's theirs. The preparations are complete and the attack begins, with funny sound effects.
Fire!
Of course, it might hurt their war effort if they actually end up killing someone once those flames ignite the explosives. Ah, what the hell. At least Jake and Eddie get to use their liver loaf lunch arranger.
Fire!
Seriously, this is a really fun sequence. I especially love the battle wagon and how it gets used in launching stuff. How it even got made to do it at all, the kids cooperating with the adults, and as silly as it may seem, I can't hate what they do next.
I'm scared, Sarge.
We're all scared, son. Now!
It's like watching the Death Penguin Army from Batman Returns. What makes this better is the song playing during the actual attack. More explosions, an exploding toilet gets launched. I think it's safe to say they won at this point, but word gets to Sherman, who's in disbelief over how this is happening, and instead of just filing the damn papers for what is surely an assault on his workforce, he's just gonna go and shoot them with his rifle.
This ain't business any longer. This is personal.
Time to retreat for now, as the enemy begins their counterattack. Yep, here comes the bulldozer, and somehow with the sound effects, it's even scarier. Ah, there's the scream he did in the Christmas movie. Well, there goes their contraption. No more eggs erroneous experiments for you. Now it's our heroes' turn to deal with the bulldozer as it destroys a cabin. And a Coke machine! No! That damn cart that kept driving itself finally stops, and Bobby has an idea. They get as many flammables as they can, while Ernest brings in one of the eggs erroneous experiments. Then as it gets lit up, Ernest drives that sucker out so he can let it roll out in front of the bulldozer, and... Good job, but now you gotta fight Bronk again. And no doubt he's still just as tough as... Okay, he was blind and disoriented. Whatever, a win's a win. Sherman shows up, rifle in hand, and aiming directly at Ernest. But this is when the blade, stone, and arrow test comes into play. As they play back what was told to us earlier, Sherman would fire and miss. Even when closer, he keeps missing. And after the third miss...
Paper, rock, scissors.
Oh crap, he put his finger in the gun. I can't do anything after that. Run away! And Nurse St. Cloud comes back with court orders, filing a restraining order, so they got the camp back. The returning campers sing Happy Together. We also learned that Sherman admitted to tricking the chief, the boys don't have to return to the detention center, and Ernest is a year-long counselor now. Things are finally looking up for him, until he repeats the rope gag from the beginning.
What happened? Gaga Saga. Well, at least nobody was hurt.
You mean no one important? I kid. We love you, Ernest. During the credits, it looks like Jake and Eddie rebuilt the liver loaf lunch arranger as they go back to their eggs erroneous experiments. Jake seems to have finally done it and gets Eddie to taste it. But did he succeed? So, I think it's safe to say that the increased budget really helped make this the funny, over-the-top camp movie they would have with Ernest P. Worrell. And oh boy, was it ever funny! Out of all the films I've seen with him so far, this one might just be my favorite yet. And it highlights the sort of potential Ernest has as a character. Like, this one shows that Ernest can be more than just a funny dumbass. That he has some wit to him, a genuine love for what he works for, and how deeply it affects him when times get rough. This is somewhat downplayed in the movies I've seen before this, though at least with Ernest Saves Christmas, the humor and story were still balanced enough that it still works well as a follow-up to this movie. And then compared to Ernest Scared Stupid, well, for all the good that one does with its horror themes and witty humor, it doesn't really allow Ernest to be more of a character like he is here. More than ever, I liken Ernest to characters like Goofy, who, when in the right hands, can really shine through in the parts that typically define them. Which is very apparent in his time with the boys, who, while a bit limited in their personalities, do at least grow the more they spend time with Ernest, and while they may try my patience sometimes, I still cared for them to pull through. Nurse St. Cloud was a decent supporting character, while Jake and Eddie were funny distractions who at least got to contribute a bit. In the way of villains, Sherman, Crater, and crew had an intimidation factor, at least until they started getting their butts kicked like it's Home Alone. Though the end's questionably supernatural aspect was satisfying to see after Sherman kept acting so high and mighty. While I hesitate to say it's the best movie ever, I would not dare call it bad. This is just a good, fun comedy that, had they been allowed more creative freedom later and given more opportunity to fine-tune what works for humor, we could have had more zany family comedies like this one. Hell, it did well enough to make back $23.5 million at the box office, compared to its $3 million budget, making it the third highest grossing film in the series, behind Ernest Saves Christmas and Ernest Goes to Jail. Critics were a little more mixed to positive, though Varney did get nominated for a Razzie for Worst New Star, unfortunately. Don't know what they were thinking. On the flip side, Montgomery Bell State Park would commemorate the film for its 30th anniversary in 2017, as well as the entire series in general, by starting Ernest Day, held every year, save for 2020 due to COVID, with various attractions inspired by the movie, and even a mini museum in the form of Nurse St. Cloud's nursing station, featuring several movie props, such as the lunch tray with Ernest's face imprint, the plunger, a Camp Kiki t-shirt and flag, and I think the movie script is in there. Still, it shows how important Varney and his films were to the state and the fans who continue to support them to this day. Well, with that, only one more film in the Disney line remains, where Ernest Goes to Jail. Judging from how the critics saw it, it might be pretty bad. Though given something like Ernest Goes to Africa, I can't imagine being that bad. But who knows? I just spent a lot of time talking about another Ernest movie I liked, so maybe I might go to jail and visit Ernest when the chance comes and decide for myself. Until then, I'm the Media Hunter. Media is my prey and reviewing them my way.